I'm Jimmy Hyams with the Rewind on Full Disclosure. We've been interviewing a lot of sports personalities in the Knoxville area, and our guest today is a former star football player at Central High School, with the University of Tennessee, and with the Minnesota Vikings, and that is Tim Irwin. Tim, how are you doing?
Good, Jimmy. Good to see you this time of year. We don't usually get together much, say a month from now. Then we see each other every week. So
yeah, that's right. You were in high school. People know you as a football player. You played more than just football in high school, didn't you?
I did. I played basketball, threw the discus. Wanted to play baseball, but I think they conspired against me to keep me throwing the discus. I don't think I got much of a shot. But I played I love basketball. As a matter of fact, if you asked me in high school, I probably liked basketball better.
Why?
I don't know. I like scoring.
Yeah.
I mean, I like playing. I just thought it was fun.
Offensive linemen don't score.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I played against some good players and had a bunch of fun. Actually, at the end of 1976, at the end of 1976, starting in 77, Coach Mears asked the football coaches if I could come play college ball. But they needed somebody to practice against Doug Ashworth. They didn't have another big man.
Yeah.
On the roster, they had King and Grunfeld, but they had no big man. Yeah. And so I would have done it in a heartbeat. But Coach Majors, I think, said no.
You could have played with King and Grunfeld.
Yeah. Wow. That would have been awesome, huh?
Didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, Bert Bertelkamp, who I played against in high school, too. Yeah. It would have been fun. But I don't know if I'd have kept enough weight to be an offensive lineman if I was doing that.
Were you 6'7" your senior year of high school?
Probably 6'6", and I think 6'6". I think I grew an inch and a half in college. I was only 17 when I got to UT. Mm-hmm. I played my entire senior football season at Central at 16. Turned 17 in December. So I was an early starter.
Were you always tall, or did you have a growth spurt somewhere in high school?
I was always tall, but between junior high and high school, I grew about 5 inches that summer.
Wow.
And I remember having growing pains. For people that aren't tall and don't understand, they're real. I mean, they really happen. And I grew so fast that my legs would just throb at night. I remember it was a weird feeling.
Splints.
Yeah, it's what it feels like, yeah.
In high school, so how heavily recruited were you as a football player?
I was recruited really hard by about everyone around in the SEC. And I took a small school visit because I wanted to go to a small school to see if I wanted a small campus or a big, there's that rationale. Sometimes it's good to be a big fish in a little pond. Mm-hmm. And I got really close to Miles Aldridge, who was a recruiter at East Tennessee State. And I went up there for a visit. Frank Emanuel recruited me at Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of Charlie Fulton recruited me at Florida. So I was having a Tennessee guy recruit me at all these other places. P.W. Underwood recruited me at Auburn. I had a lot of choices. Frank Kersey was a head coach at Kentucky, and John Cooper was my recruiter, who went on to be, very successful at Ohio State and Arizona State. So I had some real good people looking at me, but I was sitting in the stands watching Tennessee and Vanderbilt play, and it would have been 1975, and Vanderbilt beat Tennessee, and I almost wanted to go throw up. And I thought, if you feel this way, you don't need to be going to school anywhere else. And I went in and told Coach Battle that I'd be there in the fall. I don't know if I think they'd offered me. I think they wanted me. They never said the words, but I said, hey, I'm coming here if you guys want me. And I was the second one to sign. Hubert Simpson was first, and I signed same day, same time, pretty much.
Didn't get a chance, though, to play for Coach Battle. I think Coach Majors came in. Is that right?
No, I played 1 year.
1 year for Coach Battle?
I played a year for Coach Battle and Coach Trail, who we just lost, and my condolences to his family. But I played 1 year for Coach Battle, and then that offseason, Coach Majors came to town. Boy, it was a tough time there.
What was that camp like?
Whew, the winter was brutal. I mean, pretty much ran till you couldn't run anymore. So there was a change going on in college football. The number of athletes you had at one time was unlimited. And right about when I got there, they cut the classes to 30 apiece. But you had an unlimited number of people, and the way you sorted them out was you ran off the ones that didn't want to stay. And so those coaches all had that mentality of let's get rid of, nobody here is any good. Let's get rid of all of them. We just won the national championship. And it wasn't just Coach Majors. It was Bobby Roper, Jim Dyer, and Bobby Jackson. I mean, they were pretty brutal. I think that if you ask any of them that were still with us, they would admit to it. They were brutal. Coach Majors told me one time, a long time afterwards, that he regretted some of the things he did to us. And it was rough. Yeah, it was a pretty tough place to be. So anytime you change coaches, you have to go out and prove yourself all over again.
Right.
But this was particularly rough.
So he had won the national championship at Pitt in '76. He comes in and replaces Bill Battle. You go through this brutal camp.
Yeah.
Were there a lot of defections among players? A lot of
guys took off. A lot of good football players just left. Just gave up and left because they couldn't. I remember the movie Officer and a Gentleman, and the guys down there doing push-ups, and the Marine staff sergeant's over the top of him, and he looks up at him and says, "I got nowhere to go." That was me. I had nowhere to go. I was here, so I was home. So I loved being here. And then I will say this: Coach Majors was extremely hard on me before I got good enough to play. But once I became good enough to play, he was my biggest advocate. I remember one particular speech where he told me not only was I not good enough to be on the field, I didn't even deserve to eat at the chow table with the rest of the guys there.
He told you that?
Oh, yeah. That would have been my sophomore season.
Did that motivate you?
Yeah, I mean, it motivated me to want to kill him, but I didn't. I mean, I wanted to, sneak in the coach's locker room and get hold of him, but I didn't. The one magic thing they brought for me with that staff was Joe Avezzano.
Offensive line coach.
Yeah, he really helped me a lot.
Yeah.
I was a defensive lineman at first.
Oh, okay.
I was redshirted, and they moved me to defensive line because they needed me over there to work against the offensive lineman. And it looked like I was going to stay, and I had a shoulder injury, and opening up to tackle was not a good thing for it, so I moved back to offense. But Avezzano really helped me technique-wise, and he was a big part of my development.
Your last year, you had Phillip Fulmer.
I did.
Offensive line coach.
I did, and he was great too.
Yeah.
I just say Avezzano was by the time Coach Fulmer got there, I was a senior starter. I'd already made some pre-honorable, whatever, all-South, pre-honorable mention, all SEC and all that stuff as a junior. But Avezzano was the guy that took me from not knowing how to play offensive line to learning some technique. I mean, we went from a veer team to a modified veer under Coach Majors. We still had Jimmy Streeter, but the blocking techniques weren't different. We weren't firing off the ball low and scramble blocking, and we were standing up and blocking more like pro type than we were in the past, and there was some big adjustments there. But he was a really good coach, and then Coach Fulmer came in, and he was a young coach then, but he really built on that technique too. I was more of a finished product when he got there. And also, I think it was integral in my development. UT got a different type of weight program than we had in the past. And actually, Tim Caron was the strength coach and the trainer, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But we got Bruno Paletto came in right at the end, and we lifted weights pretty hard. And weights were important for me. Big, tall guy, and I got strong. And I got to where, when I got to the Vikings after I left UT, I weighed 274 pounds, and I was the biggest guy on the team and probably the strongest.
Was the strength...
And when I left the Miami Dolphins some years later, I was 315 with the same waist size, and there were 5 guys that were bigger than I was. That's how much the league changed in the years I was there. But my strength was off the charts when I left Miami. I could do a 520-pound bench press.
Wow. Did you have a lot of natural strength, or did this strength come from weightlifting?
Came from 20 years of weightlifting. Yeah. A lot of weightlifting. Incredible amount of weightlifting. My training partners, I had great training partners, Brad White and Bill Bates. We trained together every off season. It was good for all of us, I think.
I don't know if you knew this, but after you left Tennessee, Bruno Paletto said Tim Irwin is the standard bearer for strength. And he used you as an example in trying to motivate players. Did you know that?
No, I didn't, but I know we accomplished a lot together. We accomplished a lot together. And actually, earlier in my career, I used to work out with the police chief, Ed Uvella. He'd come in and lift weights with us, and we worked. I mean, I would do cleans, which is the first part of the lift that you see them do in the Olympics, the clean and jerk. Yeah. I would do cleans till I saw shooting stars in the sky. I mean, we would do them just, 5 sets of 5 with like 315. You do them till your hands throbbed. Run the stadium, run up and down the side of the long ramp on the south end of the stadium. We outworked a lot of people. And I don't know if we had more talent or we just worked harder, but we worked hard. Brad and I kept each other honest. You need a partner that's going to make you work out on the days that you don't want to be there. And same with Bill Bates. And you know who else was the hardest working 2 kids I saw come in that I felt like could work with us that were younger than I was were the McKenzie brothers. Yeah. They worked very hard in the weight room. Yeah.
Your 4 years at Tennessee after Coach Majors comes in, it took him longer to rebuild the program, and the win-loss record was slightly above 500. When you look back at your career at Tennessee, how do you view it?
I mean, I wish we'd won more games. I was always proud of the fact that I never lost to Vanderbilt or Kentucky. Mm-hmm. That would have been bridge jumping material there. That would have been bad. I think that Coach Majors came in a different era. When he was at Pittsburgh and was able to sign 100 guys and call through what he wanted. But when you're at Tennessee and you only got 30 each year, it takes longer to rebuild. And I know they signed guys that were supposed to take my spot away from me as a sophomore, junior, and a senior. These guys all coming in from the north, and never happened. I was able to hang on. But I think, I think ultimately he got there, and that's the way he should be remembered. He's a hard-working guy. And don't get me wrong, I had every respect for Coach Majors. But, you don't think you forget stuff like that when he calls you out in front of the team and tells you that you didn't deserve to eat with these guys. You remember that. As he used to say, that sort of stuck in my craw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something that motivated you even in the NFL?
No. I'll tell you something else that motivated me. I'll tell you, the only time I really smarted off to a coach big time, I got to go to the East-West Shrine game when I was a Catholic growing up, practicing Catholic still today, and I sent my tapes from Central High School to Notre Dame. And I thought I wanted to visit Notre Dame. From Dan Devine said, "Dear Tim, we don't feel like your major college potential." Well, guess who one of my coaches was in the East-West Shrine game?
Dan Devine.
So I couldn't help reminding him of that fact.
Did he remember that?
I reminded him, hey, I remember you, Coach. You're the guy that said I wasn't good enough to play. Now we're both here in the All-Star game. How about that? I was a smart aleck for doing that, but I couldn't help it.
So you get drafted by the Vikings. You're a third-round draft pick. Phillip Fulmer told me that he thought, by the way, he said you're one of the top 5 tackles that ever played at Tennessee that he was aware of. He thought you'd be a really, really good pro. Did you have that kind of confidence when you went to Minnesota?
Not really. They cut rookies back then, even high draft rookies. Third rounders got cut if you weren't good enough. And I didn't. I spent the first 2 weeks just trying to block somebody. Guys were pretty good over there. I mean, that you're practicing against. After a while, it started coming to you. But no, I worked like crazy. I was definitely scared of being asked to leave. They don't, get an apple on a roadmap pretty quick if you are not making progress. I had a good coach that he wasn't so much of a technician. He let you do it your way, but he knew just what to say to you. He was more of a mental guy. He expected you to be completely prepared for the guy you were playing against, but he was content with letting you block them your way as long as you blocked them. That was John Michaels. So he was coach for me a long time. Tennessee guy, played for General Neyland. So everywhere I went, these Tennessee guys were in my, the recruiter guys were all Tennessee guys that were working somewhere else. I had Phil Fulmer, who went on to be the head coach, and I had Coach Michaels, who played for General Neyland at the Vikings, and there was a big connection between Tennessee. I had Fuad up there as my kicker. Yeah. I had Murray Warmoth, who was a Tennessee guy that was up there as a scout. I mean, there was a lot of Tennessee connection
He used to coach at Minnesota
Gophers. That's right. He coached the Gophers, and but it was a big connection. It was a good place for me. I like cold weather. Mm-hmm. I don't like the heat. It was a good place for me to go, and I enjoyed playing for Bud Grant and Jerry Burns and John Michaels. I enjoyed playing for the three of them, and played my heart out for them. And they talk about these people that have been in these situations, and did the crowd noise make a difference? Because I heard every comment, every boo, every cheer. I heard them all. I promise you, I heard them all. And I think those guys are so full of it that say, "Oh, I'll just go out and do my job. I don't let the crowd affect me." I heard them all. And let me tell you something. You think that crowd doesn't make a difference when it's 3rd and long and you got Lawrence Taylor lined up outside of you and you can't hear the snap count? I promise you it makes a difference. Yeah, the crowd makes a big difference in football games. Maybe impacts football more than any other sport. The noise factor does. So, but I love playing there. I went on to play at Tampa for a little while and Miami for a little while, and really liked Miami. The rules and the way things were organized was very similar to the Vikings. I don't think Coach Shula and Coach Grant cared much for each other. Something about Coach Shula being on the competition committee and Bud not liking it, but I don't think they liked each other much, but they ran very similar programs. And I didn't care much for Tampa, but I liked my teammates there, and I still got some good friends that I played with there, but I did care a lot about and when I got to Miami, which was the second half of the 94 season, the only guy near as old as I was Marino, so we became instant buddies. My locker was right next to his, and we had a good time down there. We got to go to 3 playoff games, and it was a good run. I didn't do much. I blocked a kick for him, and I did all the practice so Heller could limp out on the field. I was probably better physical shape than he was. And they actually wanted me to come back, and Indianapolis wanted me to come up and play another year, but I'd been graduated from law school for 4 years. I had a pretty good sized family by then, and I thought it'd be better to go ahead and, get started in the rest of my life. So I didn't go for that other year.
Fair to say Dan Marino was the best quarterback you ever played with?
Yeah, he was, even as broken up as he was by that time, he was special. I mean, he could tell me what I was supposed to do at tackle on every play from quarterback. I mean, when I got in there the first day, I didn't know any of the plays, didn't know, the snap count. Snap count said, and by the way, let me say this, and you listen to this too, Josh Heupel, if you ever hear this interview, we don't say go on the football field. We say hut. Hut, that's a snap count, not go. That's tradition, and that's something I would never lose. I don't care what kind of offense you're running. You don't say go. He may disagree with me. They probably say go at UT. I really don't know. But I'm big on hut. And I've coached little kids. I make them say hut. But Marino was quite the guy. He had a lineman kind of mentality for a quarterback, and I enjoyed getting to know him. I enjoyed the staff at Miami. I got along great with Shula. I mean, like I said, I didn't get to play all that much. I played some, but I did block a big kick up in Indianapolis. It made a big difference. So